Law of non-resistance. Our interest in this law of truth is particularly pertinent at this time because it appears like there is so much in the world to be satisfied with. Satisfaction that, for many devout students, cannot be met unless some resistance is imposed. Despite all attempts to stop them, sin and disease appear to have increased. It is false and deceptive to think that resistance will bring about peace and harmony. True disagreement cannot produce peace, and neither can true harmony. Because resistance does not follow harmony and order, which is the law, resistance is successful. To some of us, the Master's teaching, that you should not resist evil, seems paradoxical. Because when we encounter the opposition, it seems natural to expend our efforts, assemble our spirits, and use whatever means we have to outwit and defeat the opponent. It appears that this is contradictory to how a body naturally reacts. Despite what might appear to be the contrary, when it comes to life's most important issues, we unwittingly apply the law to everyday affairs. This law has so many different titles that it is not always easy for us to identify it as the fundamental law of non-resistance. For instance, in the business world we learn about the psychology of selling, service, credit, free delivery, technical advisors, and every other imaginable assistance that will help us find the right pots and pans for the kitchen, a good style and color of a crib for the nursery, the chair for the fireplace, and the accessories that are so essential to showcase the living room effectively. Actually, there is a company that promotes that it has everything under the sun. As a result, whatever you need may be found there. They claim that using this law will make business profitable, and the department heads are aware of this. Why do you suppose they keep the doors to their shops wide open? It most definitely isn't to let in fresh air. Without even opening the doors, they allowed prosperity to enter. Have you ever observed that more people walk through open doors than they do those that are opened? Have you ever questioned why certain businesses, like 5 and 10 or 25-cent establishments, like using the basement over the second floor? People find it simpler to move downward as opposed to above. When they arrive, they naturally take the steps up, although initially they are inclined to do the opposite. Any huge firm will employ this psychology liberally, as you'll notice. They frequently engage both men and women to investigate strategies for enticing and luring customers. They research the application of the law of non-resistance to the general populace. A salesperson will research the strategies for promoting a product. He will approach a consumer and thoroughly demonstrate his product. In order to dissuade the buyer from having any reservations or counter-arguments, he will steer clear of comparisons to other comparable items, extol the virtues of his own product, and highlight all of its favorable features. By doing this, he will create a persuasive sales pitch and influence his client to accept him. Before the client is aware that he is signing a check or a contract, he will get him to say yes to a number of things. The law of non-resistance serves as the basis for all sales. Everywhere in a profitable business it is used. The result of its utilization is department shops. Before they were done, our grandparents had visited a number of stores while carrying their baskets. Today, we have access to the telephone, allowing us to order the things on our list, probably from a store. Mail-order businesses rely on this approach. They create the conditions for prosperity in this way. Businesses don't only hire salespeople because everyone works in sales in some capacity. Whether we are aware of it or not, we constantly sell ourselves to gain the acceptance or rejection of our friends. We always work to present our best selves because inside, we want our friends to think well of us. A young man will use all means necessary to land an interview if he wants to meet a specific young woman. He will then proceed, give it his all, and leave a lasting impression. You may wonder why all of this extra work. Considering that he wants to make it simpler for the attractive woman to want him and learn more about him. He is attempting to convince her that he is the finest possible friend and partner for her. As far as he is aware, he may be unintentionally applying the law of non-resistance. Why is this young man acting so confidently? You'll likely respond, "Oh, it's natural. It's a habit or a custom." That is true, but habit has such a strong hold over us that there are instances when, while pursuing affluence and good health, we unintentionally erect obstacles in our way. Some people are capable of working hard to succeed and to grow their financial fortune, but they also have a propensity of talking about and fearing difficult times. We might gossip about our neighbor or bemoan his strategy for success. When we watch the graph swing downward, we can be afraid of the state of the economy and worry about our investments and jobs. We act quite foolishly when we do these things. In fact, what a fool is a businessman who widely publicized the opening of the biggest sale of the year on a specific day? He shut the doors and barred everyone from entering after obtaining what he desired from his saints on the appointed occasions. The saints assumed he had either gone insane or did not want any business to come to him based on such an act. Whatever you want to call it. Some individuals can be downright insane at times when they want stocks and success, but block it by talking about poverty and strife. I'm not saying they're insane, but I do know they haven't figured out how to think appropriately. And when they restrict their inflow of good with negative discourse, they aren't following the law either. I received a letter from a kid who stated, "I am working hard to eliminate deprivation because I have had enough. Stop working to drive away hardship and work only for prosperity," I replied in response to his statement. The law demands that we work with and for the things that we desire, not against the things we do not want. We dare not devote our time, focus, or effort to anything that goes against what we want. This entails putting up barriers that are against the law and prevent our good from occurring. So how do we work for prosperity? By exhibiting non-resistance, being in sync with everything that is prosperous, and using all available tools to facilitate the flow of wealth. Although water is a highly strong element, its resistance is not perfect. Its removal of the toughest rock is visible. Before it unleashed its tremendous downpour, we witnessed it sweep everything. Nothing can withstand its force, including bridges, buildings, and trees. But take note of the way the huge river begins. It starts with a little river or stream high in the mountains, which receives its springtime nourishment from ice and snow. Additionally, take note of how crooked the stream is. It's nothing like the massive river that is finally coming in. You witness the small stream collide with a huge boulder, a downed tree, or other objects comprised of twigs, decaying leaves, and the like. Does the tiny stream stop at the obstruction, or does it wait until it has enough strength to push the opposition out of the way? The small stream doesn't care about the tree or the boulder because it's on its way to the ocean, a river, and ultimately another larger stream. It moves quickly through the obstruction without wasting any further time, using quiet maneuvers to get past the obstruction, and destined to cross a river before becoming a part of the powerful ocean. As a result, we observe how that small stream navigates a variety of challenges while advancing toward its destination. Some people reject nature's approach and implement their own. When they come across a challenge, they halt moving forward to acquire energy and put and remove it. Friction is caused by the resistance they have built. Inflammation and irritation are brought on by the friction. Because of this, the lives of many people are demanding and challenging. It is horrifying how much human energy is wasted. People fall apart and deteriorate in every area of life like outdated gear. Keep in mind that beyond use and servicing, a machine's movement is not as important as its friction. Opposition and resistance constitute friction. If we struggle, oppose, resist, and support ourselves throughout life, we will undoubtedly face numerous challenges, and we are likely to become so preoccupied with overcoming them that we will lose sight of our true objective. We can anticipate a lot of pushback and hardship if we consistently prepare for them. As a result, even though we may be forced to work around a hurdle if we don't make an attempt to think about it and keep our focus on the objective or desire we've set out to fulfill, if we persevere, we will eventually succeed. We'll succeed in our mission. Another thing we may take away from the stream is that it experiences more tough times the smaller and more resilient it is. It will initially face so many challenges that avoiding direct opposition will always be difficult. It employs the law of non-resistance covertly and increases in vigor and volume. Its path is more direct, and there are fewer and fewer barriers, as it grows into a larger stream, then a river. The vast ocean is then not far away. That is how students are. They experience the most difficult obstacles and delays because they lack strength and insight. There will be many challenges and hardships as they travel along a new road in the truth. The sensible will accept the challenges rather than fight them, and they will proceed. They get more powerful and resemble a large torrent or river as they move forward in confidence and certainty. The mighty ocean, their ultimate destination, is not far behind them. As their trajectory becomes more direct, their comprehension deepens. A woman recently asked for help in dealing with her problem. She explained that her house had been mortgaged, and the time was near when she would have to make a payment, but funds were lacking. She had turned her house into a pension, hoping to get enough money to live on, but there were difficulties. She could not hold back her tenants because she was very quarrelsome and critical. The house was always in turmoil. No one would restrain themselves, and she was busy making efforts and always gripped by anxiety. It was explained to her that she had to use the law. She was not to oppose the good, but to strive to work with it. With all the friction and confusion in the house, she was to come back and use the law of non-resistance. This she tried to do, but because she was so demanding and mean, she found it rather difficult to be non-resistant. That evening, as she entered the dining room, she greeted the housemates with a smile. People were so surprised at the sudden change that they could barely eat. That smile was the first smile in months that they remembered. One man was heard to utter when she went to the kitchen to prepare dessert, "The old lady has gone soft." And later that evening, they heard the greeting of a young man who had once again returned to rent and was trying to slip up to her room without being seen. She greeted him pleasantly and said she was sorry he had missed dinner. After a few weeks of this new plan, the woman began to enjoy it. She was changed inside. She saw her people in a different light. Instead of thinking of them as cunning, lying, and very quarrelsome, she saw the good in them, and they all became more and more like family. They too had changed. Gathering at the table with the family was regarded as a happy time, and the house filled up. Others had asked for a room if and when a spot became available. Even the young man who had tried to dodge it because of his delinquency had entered into the spirit of the new house and was able to get a job and pay rent. Needless to say, the payments on the mortgages were made, and the house was saved for the widow. She did as she was asked. She became non-resistant to the good. She made light of the many obstacles and confusion that appeared, and slowly worked through them. She kept her goal fixed in her mind. This in turn loosened the hardness within herself, and then reached out to others. Although she seemed to be too good to some, in doing so, she achieved her goal and won. In another verse, Jesus expressed the law more simply. He said, "I say to you, love your enemies. Those who curse you, bless them. Do good to those who hate you. Pray for those who mistreat you." In studying his statement, one might at first believe that the Master was favoring enemies, opponents. Not at all. Jesus was speaking to all those who wished to use the law, extending a loving thought to anyone or removing the opposition and enmity that was once there. This removal must first be in the person's consciousness. Once the thought of enmity is removed from your consciousness, you do not attract the same condition again. Do good to them who hate you, because in doing good you rise above the thought of hatred, and hatred then cannot touch your life. Bless those who curse you, and pray for those who take advantage of you. Why? Blessing arouses the supreme good within you. The highest good within you can only attract a higher good from another. To attract such good, you turn around all opposition and abuse. Thus, to live the law with others, you do not favor others more than you favor yourselves. It affects others because it turns away from them hatred, malice, revenge, and the like, and their love and interest will be mutual. If a man resists a situation, he will always have it with him. If he tries to turn away from it, like a shadow, it will follow him, and repeatedly he will meet it again. If he ignores the hardness of the condition and fearlessly works on it, there will come a time when he will have been absorbed and will have removed that difficult condition. Accept the condition as some evidence of the good. Seek that good, and having accepted it, more and more evidence of it will come. Be in agreement with your opponent is another way of saying that nothing useful and lasting is ever achieved in an argument. One who is convinced against his will is still of the same opinion. Agreeing with one only leads to wearing full armor, to gather all his strength in opposition to yours. Agreeing with him leaves him defenseless and in no need of his armament. Offering no resistance makes him easily friendly, and the one who thought he was your enemy will have the pleasure and privilege of being a friend. Blessed are the meek may seem to literally claim that timid souls are easy prey for their more aggressive brethren. Rather, it refers to those who are able to follow the law of non-resistance to the point of inheriting the earth and all things their own. To be meek does not mean to be an easy target or to be a doormat on which anyone can walk. I have heard that at this time one cannot be a true Christian and be easy and forgiving. In this day you have to be on guard to protect your rights so that the strongest and most violent do not prevail. You do not know what is completely required of a true Christian if you think this. We are not required to be a martyr to our faith, nor is it unchristian to be able to speak fearlessly and positively. We do not need to be an easy target, nor a doormat for anyone, because there is a greater power not to be underestimated, the power of the law when we use it. But this does not make us a fighter, but a master. It does not require us to be tough and turbulent so that we can achieve our rights. Our rights, when they are right, will defend themselves. They are their own defense. There is no one to fight their own battles. Now the law says that we act what we expect. So if one believes he is an easy target, a doormat, a weakling, if he expects to suffer impositions and have to resort to warlike means for his own protection, then those who take the sword will perish by the sword. The law of life reacts to man according to his understanding and application. Being meek does not mean that we are subject to the conditions of discord and disorder. We are meek only according to the law. Such meekness gives us the power of the Spirit. Jesus was so strong in the Spirit that his word was like a double-edged sword. It left bruises like a whip. Jesus, although he was a humble man, was not an example of weakness. When he spoke as one in authority to the scribes or in the temple of the money changers, he showed a strength that seemed incredible to his disciples to the extent that they implored him to be their king. Do not confuse meekness with weakness. Nature eliminates weakness, and so should you. Weakness creates weakness. This leads to deterioration and eventually to death and decay. To live wisely, one must be strong and positive, though rightly meek. Such strength is not measured from a physical and muscular point of view, but in the mind and spirit. No one can truly be a bomb if he is not strong and gritty. Meekness, then, is that appropriate strength when you don't argue, when you don't get angry or cocky and proud, when you don't insist on having your rights in an argumentative way. Meekness is the steel of one's nature. Yes, it is enduring. Meekness is the strength with which you win an argument by refusing to argue. When differences of opinion arise and your opinion is right, the real victory lies in the fact that it is right, regardless of what others may say about it. In science, we recognize the spirit of meekness as cooperation, persistent application, precise calculation, perfect harmony, symmetry of design and color, and so on. Perhaps the simplest illustration can be seen in our application of the law in nature. We exercise the spirit of meekness to accept the terms of nature, and the more we cooperate with the best or submit to her, the more abundantly we are blessed. We carefully select the best seeds and plant them in the right place at the right time and in the most fertile soil. We watch for water and cultivate the growing plant to ensure abundant yield. Why are we so careful, so precise, so non-resistant to obeying the law of nature? Is it because we are weak, want excessive work, and in general, simple-minded because of the utmost care and attention we are obliged to give? Only those who do not fulfill the law of non-resistance are foolish. With whatever degree the wise man answers the law with meekness, non-resistance, so he will be benefited. Thus, when man applies the spirit of meekness to the principles of his daily life, not to conditions, so will he be proportionately blessed. When you are perplexed, remember the little stream of water and how determined it is to reach the mighty ocean. Be determined to reach and realize all the good that is there waiting for you. Why put off its benefits by putting obstacles in your flow toward prosperity? Choose the path of non-resistance. Every worried thought, every fear, doubt, complaint, argument, and thought are just so many boulders, large and small, that you throw into your flow. These tend to change the course and lengthen the time it takes to reach your goal. Unite your forces for good with the good you are seeking. Remove and dissolve every obstacle from the blessing and be willing to understand it. Mark it no longer as an obstacle, but a stepping stone, bringing you your highest good.